Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. We talk to founders from all different industries, different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We like to hear real, raw, and those unbiased stories, founder stories, and why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We drop new episodes every Sunday so that we help motivate, inspire, and get founders and entrepreneurs prepared for the week ahead. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip WIP for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyper-local media platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders succeed. Orange Whip is an all-in-one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories. We have curated local calendars and local dynamic roadmaps to help the founder and startup entrepreneur navigate their local entrepreneurial ecosystems. We've done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted place to find all the local information they need. We're in 3 cities today, hoping to expand to 30 cities within 5 years. So every city needs to have an Orange Whip. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I'm the founder of Orange Whip and will be your host today on Hello Chaos. And we have as our guest Ana Juneja. Did I say it? Juneja. I said it. Did I
Yes,
say it right?
you said
Okay,
it right.
Juneja. And Ana, I'm so excited you're on because you've got 2 companies. Ana is an IP attorney, and she runs her own law firm called Ana Law. And she also started a media company that is dedicated to serving lawyers. Is that right?
That is right.
All right.
You
Welcome,
got it.
Ana. Welcome to Hello Chaos. Welcome to the chaos, or we welcome all the chaos as
I love
founders.
chaos and thank you for having me.
So start us out. Just give us you know, what started you on this journey? Why IP? How did you get involved with founders and startups? And then now, why did you launch a media company? So let's start us out.
Yeah, so that's so much, but so just to start, IP is a sector of business law. It's a kind of a specialization of business law, and I have always actually been really interested in IP. Apparently, even when I was a kid, my mom said I was like really into copyrights and patents and things. So I found that really interesting. And then, of course, as you grow up, you want to do other things. You want to be a spy and diplomat and all of that stuff. But then
That's
I did
right.
end up going to, law school and ending up kind of in the IP field. And that really happened because IP lawyers, they tend to have science backgrounds. And if you go to law school with a science or engineering background, you're really geared towards patent law because there just are very few of scientist lawyer mixes. And that is why I sort of ended up in the field. I actually didn't know I would love it as much as I do, but pretty much as soon as I started working, I fell in love with it immediately. It was definitely my calling. I just didn't really know it until I started.
Yeah.
Um,
What was it about it that you were just like, this is awesome. This is my jam.
I just think it's something that for some reason, it just clicked in my head. I understood it so deeply. And being able to share that with startups and businesses and entrepreneurs that, are looking to monetize their intellectual property, they're looking to push the envelope, like push humanity forward. I'm just on the forefront of everything that people are doing. And it's very exciting. And I think that's part of it. Me being able to share that with people.
It's the innovations, the
It's the
creations.
innovation.
Mm.
Yes.
And so when you think, when you think about your journey, so you run this law firm. What made you start the media company?
So I worked at a law firm previously to mine when I graduated, took the bar. I worked at just kind of a more normal path. I worked at a IP law firm that was a very established traditional type of law firm. And I really would have stayed there for a long time. I really loved what I was doing. I loved, my clients, but I felt, there were certain other opportunities out there. in terms of there was just an untapped market of people who really didn't have a lot of exposure to IP. And, during that time when I was trying to see, is there really an untapped market? There really was, because kind of immediately on social media, I had a lot of success. And because of that, I then had a lot of interest from other lawyers who wanted to share their own passion and things like that with a new audience as well. And so
So,
that's where the media
go
company
ahead.
came from.
So it's more of like educating other lawyers about the patent journeys, what needs to be protected, helping them
No, so
guide.
it's just helping other lawyers, be able to create content on social media
Oh,
and
okay.
build their brand on social media, because I think the law is a very traditional field, and, change or anything great never really comes from the inside. It's always gonna come from an outsider, which I kind of am, because I'm doing things in a different way. So that is why people like lawyers were very interested in what I was doing, because it's not that common to have, a lawyer on TikTok, or, back at least a couple years ago. Now it's way more common, but when I started, it was very uncommon. And so people they hated it at first and they thought it was weird, but then once you start getting a little bit of success, they all want to know how you did it. And so,
Gotcha.
I had a lot of interest specifically from other lawyers who wanted to, learn more about what I was doing, and now we help them.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's more of like a media company to do social media or teach social media for other lawyers. Like, how do you build
Yes,
your personal brand
yes.
on social? Okay. Um, so what do you think is the biggest kind of surprise or the aha moments that you see, maybe not just in your own journey, but when you work with startups and founders and, these creators, what do you see like the big like light bulbs going off?
Well, I mean, I'm a lawyer, so the biggest light bulbs I see going off is when people get sued and they freak out. So that's definitely the biggest times when they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing." In
And
my field, things are just if you infringe on IP, it's breaking the law. It doesn't really matter if you were ignorant or not.
right.
So, it's really important for business owners to educate themselves so they're not in that aha moment. But also, like, there's another time too where people have a lot of intellectual property assets and they are not monetizing them. And then, we do an audit for them, we work with them, we get to know their business really deeply, and then we realize we can create a lot of revenue streams from things they already had and that they didn't even know that they could monetize.
So give an example of that.
So, for example, I was working just, a couple of hours ago, my last call before this, I was working with a client she is a UGC, like a user generated content
Right.
creator. And she very specifically makes content with her hands. So she used to be a hand model and now she makes content specifically with her hands. And, she originally came to me, of course, because someone had stolen some of her pictures and they were using it. And we had to deal with that issue about a
Okay.
year ago, but she's been with me now for a while. And now, we've gone through her website, we've gone through her contracts, we negotiate deals with her for the brand she works with. And, she's able to charge more for her rights in perpetuity. So being able
Okay.
to have exclusivity and long-term relationships, she's able to charge more for those type of things. She's able to create subscription services where people can license her photos and have a reoccurring revenue stream from that. And she also is able to then sell basically copyrights to her photos. She'll take a bundle of photos, will copyright them, and she'll sell the whole thing with the copyright. And
Okay.
that is, she's able to charge more because she's not just selling the photos, it comes with a lot of rights.
Right.
And so those are some of the ways that, we were able to dig into her business and just be able to charge more.
Okay. And so as you've started your own law firm, what was the big aha moment for you?
I would say it doesn't really have anything to do with law or IP, but my big aha moment was really being able to free up myself. So
Mm.
using technology and people, staff, to be able to gain back my time was my biggest aha moment, because especially if you are a business owner who's built your own business, maybe it's different if you buy a business, but if you've built your own business, you're very particular about everything. You're very controlling, and letting that go and being able to train other people is a huge skill.
Right.
And that was definitely my biggest aha moment. I feel like that is my biggest business journey, thing that I've had to overcome in my business.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot with other founders, is when you go from a solopreneur to then want to scale and you've got to bring on a team, it's a whole different mindset because then it becomes, if you're the one that's doing it, it's under your, service, but you need other people either to help you scale, or you need to bring on other people that literally do what you do, but they need to do it in your manner, right? Under your brand and your banner. You got to think through a whole different, what's the scalability? What's the process? What's the system? How, and make sure that people are doing what you need them to do that represent you. Right.
Exactly. And I just think, we've all been trained, at least unless if you're Gen Z, you're not like this, but for all the rest of us, we have been so trained in a traditional way. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at it now, and I mean, Dropbox and HelloSign, which is now the same thing,
Right.
e-signatures have literally replaced multiple people that
Oh,
used
yeah,
to have to
especially
work.
for
So
your industry. Oh, yeah.
yeah, but you used to have to drive somewhere,
Right.
or have somebody come into the office, have your secretary print things off, bring it to you, put it in front of them, get them to sign it,
Mm-hmm.
or mail it to them. I mean, it was a whole process. It's, there are crazy things that we take for granted that have literally replaced entire people
Yeah.
in, our businesses. And so I think it's a really amazing time to be an entrepreneur, starting a business, or, growing a business, scaling a business, because there's so much available to us that we take for granted every single day. But, the barrier of entry of starting a business, if you really feel a calling to, is lower now. And I
Right.
think that's something, people should take into consideration.
Right. I think there's a widespread kind of culture in different communities. Why we started Orange Whip, because we realized the local markets were being fed by the economic development, local engine, and entrepreneurialism. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Is a fuel to that, but it becomes, how do you connect, and how do you nurture and make sure that you're hitting the full spectrum? It's why we saw major gaps in markets, and why we created Orange Whip. But I think it is over when I started the marketing company 10 years ago, it was a struggle to find um, other entrepreneurs, other like-minded people, and to have this inspiration to just do it, start it, start and I think now what I've seen a shift just in attitudes across the country of it is this there's no other better time, is you are gonna your local market, national, it is there's so much fuel and passion and encouragement to start something.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are realizing there's a lot more information out there. Things are not as crazy difficult as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
And it's always good I think people are more interested in, just with the economy how it is, people are interested in having multiple revenue streams. It's always good
Right.
to, be able to do something you really love on the side and make money from it and share your passion with others and things like that.
So, what's been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
The most rewarding part has definitely been when we are able to reach people who don't have any idea what IP is, and they didn't even know a patent, trademark, copyright was a thing, and we're able to shift their business. We're able to bring them on, transform their whole business, because now they are protecting their assets, because intellectual property, so content you create, your brands, your inventions, your logos, all these are different types of intellectual property assets, and they're actual assets, like a line item on your taxes. They exponentially increase the value of your business. You get much greater results when you sell your business, or when you're negotiating deals and things. So being able to take somebody who just didn't have any idea and bring them on and, teach them and create this brand new incredible revenue stream in their business and work with them to develop that has been definitely the most rewarding thing, because there's so many people I reach that really are total beginners in the IP world.
What's the first thing that you walk somebody through? So if someone goes, "Hey, I have this idea," and what if they've already started the company or selling the product or the service? Do you have to kind of go, "Whoa, let's take a step back," or do you try to catch people at the very, very infant stage, or is it okay if someone's like, "I need to kind of see if there's a there," and they've worked at it for 3 to 5 years? What's the do's and the don'ts there?
Yeah. So, well, to start this, I'm going to give like a really quick overview of like the different types of IP, because this is going
Yeah.
to be very important. So, copyrights, they protect content, art. So, this is anything, videos, movies, photos, artwork like sculptures, architecture, software, anything that is an original work of authorship, basically. So, that is what is protected via copyrights. And then trademarks protect brands. So this is brand names, logos, slogans, jingles, even colors, things like that. Anything that identifies your brand, that is, protected via trademark law. And then patents are for inventions. So, people invent chemicals or tools or, processes, methods, things like that. That is protected via patent. So being able to just explain to people, look into their business, kind of go through everything is the first step, because a lot of people also don't know what they have and what they've created, especially if they've never sat down with an attorney and actually understood what's going on in their business.
Right.
And then, being able to point out, hey, that's really vulnerable. You've taken all these photos and you're running ads on them, but you don't have a copyright. Like anybody could take that and, there goes 100K of ad spend you just wasted.
Right.
So, that type of thing is where we can catch people early on. Or sorry, after they've already created stuff, and then we're kind of stepping in during the process. Ideally, I mean, it would be great if people can be caught before they even start anything and before any mistake is made, before anything is done, because I have the greatest control over how everything is managed if I get people before anything has been done.
Right.
That's not the most common scenario.
Do you see it where people are like, okay, I've got this great name and they haven't done their homework to go, oh, somebody else has that name or a similar logo in the same category, and you're dealing with like, that's their aha moment of, oh crap, I got a cease and desist.
Yes, we get a lot of those. I would say 75% of our work is usually when people receive some sort of cease and desist, lawsuit, anything like that. I really would not be able to sustain my law firm and make any money if I was just helping people do things correctly from the start. You are going to pay a lawyer a lot more money to fix your problem than to do it right from the start.
Right.
So, that's just the reality of how it is. And people also, especially when you're at the beginning stages of your business, your money is so tight, it's so valuable. People definitely put off taking care of the legal side, which is actually a huge mistake, because running a business or starting a business is a luxury, but the legal that goes along with it is not a luxury at all. It's just a requirement to do business. So putting off the legal side of things in order to go get a business coach or to hire a social media manager is pretty much always a mistake, because you are not setting up your business for success.
Well, and you had said, you've got to think of when you pay for that trademark or copyright, it's an asset. It has become now a legal asset that you can put
a financial asset
or a financial asset that becomes it's a value to your company. It's a value on your line, like a line item on your, so it should be treated no different than if you had an office space or if you needed to purchase a piece of equipment to produce or to help scale your business. Is that kind of, to put in that framework?
That's exactly what it is. Because you're also, potentially going to monetize that, get royalties, all of that. And then when you go to sell your business, the way they evaluate businesses, and so the value of your IP in particular, it's generally going to be your brand and your, depending on what the business is, the brand trademarks are going to be a big part of it. But if you're very tech heavy, maybe patents, if that's more of what your business
Right.
is. And then if you're very content heavy, your copyrights will be very valuable as well, or music heavy, anything like that. But your brand is going to be a huge part of what the value of your IP portfolio is. And when you look at the value of a business, let's say a business is valued at 100K, actually 40 to 60% of that 100K is actually the value of your IP. So if you do not actually own your IP, your business is now reduced in value to 40K or less, or even less if you don't even have any substantial real estate assets
Anything.
or
Okay.
things like that. So if you watch Shark Tank, that's why they ask, hey, do you have your patents and trademarks? It's because
Right.
they will not buy your business. Your business is valueless if you have not protected the IP.
Right. Or they
Or
might
if there's any issues.
Yeah, or they might not want it like it. I know when entrepreneurs and founders, we go in and pitch for, your Series A or whatever. That's one of the first questions they ask. Of you've got
Yes.
to put that in your pitch deck of what do you own, what trademarks and IP, what have you secured?
Right. Because the problem with IP, just the way it is that the way the law is that if you fail to protect your rights from the start, you may be forfeiting your rights forever.
Hmm,
So America for patents is a first to file country pretty strictly. And for trademarks, it is a branding rights, right? That means the first to use the brand is
right.
definitely the owner. However, you're then relying on common law rights. So you can think of it as if you have a name that you really want or a logo or something, and someone else files that trademark at the USPTO just one day before you do, just one day, they file it one day before you, even if you used it before them, your options to get that trademark are now 10 times the price.
Huh,
So you can
wow.
still get it. It's just now an uphill
It's not
battle.
going to cost
And
you.
yeah, it's now going to cost you. Or if you DIY your trademark and then you receive some sort of refusal and you have to hire an attorney to come in and fix it, that's very common.
What do you
Your
mean by
results are just
DIY your? Talk to me about that. What do you mean by DIY your trademark?
yeah. So in the U.S., if you are a U.S. citizen, you do not have to have an attorney to file a trademark.
Hmm,
Just like with a lot of lawsuits, you can file your own lawsuit, you can file your own divorce, anything like
okay.
that. So you are allowed to do that legally. If you're a foreigner, you must have a U.S. attorney. But if
Okay.
you're a U.S. citizen, you can file your own trademark. However, your success rate is going to be quite low, just statistically speaking. And the problem is that once you put something in the record incorrectly, that's now on the public record incorrectly.
Hmm,
And even if you hire an attorney, we are not time travelers. We're working with what you've done. So we can step in and help at any time. Your outcome is just not going to be, I don't have as much control over the process.
right.
As I would if I was handling it from the start. So you more damage control versus kind of really helping you set yourself up for success and set
Gotcha.
yourself up to really be able to monetize something. But it's very, very common for people to DIY their trademarks or for non-IP attorneys as well to file trademarks and then, hand it to us when they get some sort of refusal. So, like I said, though, the problem with IP rights is you can be you could have potentially really devastating consequences if things are not done correctly from the start. You
Because
may
it's a
forever lose
process,
it.
right? It's not like a one
Years
time
long.
set it and get it, right? It's
Well, for some things it is like trademarks, they last forever, but there's still
okay.
maintenance and paperwork and all that to deal with, down the line. However, the process to get anything in the IP world, copyrights you can get in a few months, trademarks take minimum a year, usually longer, patents take a few years.
Hmm,
So every day that's kind of delayed getting your IP filings done or IP work done is, potentially a day where you're losing time in line, and you're
okay.
letting anyone else look at your business and being like, hey, I really like the name, Orange Whip Media. I'm going to go get that trademark because they did it, and maybe they can buy it from me. So it's just setting yourself up to kind of be exploited. You're building a brand for someone else to rip
To
off
take,
from you.
right.
Yeah. And you're investing all this time, all this money into ads, building your business. And then, if it's just going to get handed over to someone else because they were the ones that got the trademark and they sued you
Right.
for it and you couldn't afford to fight back, literally you're handing them your business.
So how has it been juggling the two businesses of yours?
My main focus is obviously my law firm, and that's where 95% of my time gets dedicated. The social media work, is I have a big media team now, and they really handle it. I'm not really working one on one with anyone or any of the lawyers. I may do some sort of class. I think many people just need reassurance and they need where to get started.
Hmm.
Many people watching this podcast are probably already creators or have at some point created content.
Right.
And if you've never done that before, you are in a different mindset. But I really think that there is statistically an access to justice issue, right? And I'm not claiming that IP work is the same as criminal defense or anything like that. But, for people who start businesses and they want to better their lives and things like that, they may not have access to a lawyer of my experience level, accessible to them very easily, or they may not know even how to access them. So,
Right.
same with other fields of law. So lawyers really should be interacting with younger generations. I mean, younger generations are not finding lawyers the same way, people used to find them 20 years ago.
That's right. The yellow pages, they are not going there.
They're not going to the yellow. I don't think I've ever seen a yellow pages. So,
Right. And I don't even know if are they Googling it? Because we've seen some of the younger, at least, coming through our agency as interns and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to date myself, but we in college and as I started climbing up through agencies, we didn't have Google. Like we had to go down to the library and get LexisNexis to access anything or books and stuff. And not until really then it was like, man, Google is my friend. I Google everything. But we've noticed a trend over the last, I don't know, several years of, like I said, younger interns that were, apprentices that we're trying to, to nurture and train. That is not the first go to. Like just to go Google. So like we have to say, did you Google that? Like go find
I
them and
I think
Google.
I look on YouTube first.
And that's
I
what
think
they're
YouTube
like.
is my first.
That's
Yeah.
what they do. They're like, oh, I went to Instagram to go find that location, or I went to Twitter to go find, or I went to YouTube to go look that up. And I'm like, oh, they are literally there. I mean, and we see that in the stats and marketing, Facebook is the number 2 search engine next to Google. Then and YouTube, I think they vie for 1 and 2 after Google. And I would not be surprised if one of those is going to overtake Google with the younger generation coming up as far as just pure search terms and search for them.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think especially video content has been
Mhm.
a really great way to connect because people will hear your voice, they can get to know you. And also there's a lot of misinformation out there. So if you're a lawyer and you want to say something, it's good to say, good information that you believe you want to put out there.
Right.
And then, people really get to know you. When I started my law firm, I didn't have $5,000 a month to go pay for ads or Google. I don't even know how or what the prices are for all of that stuff, but I definitely could not afford to go get a billboard and things like that. So, that's just it. There's never really been an opportunity before where people could market for free
Mm.
and literally start big businesses from it. So I think that's another thing is it's just you're able to maybe offer better prices to people because you're not having that overhead of having to acquire a client for $2,000.
Right.
So, you're not paying the big firm. When people work with us, they're not paying the big firm rates because we didn't have to pay $2,000 to get that client,
Right.
walking into us. So that's like been another benefit. And it's just, it's been really great to connect and it's been great to be on social media. I think it forces me and the lawyers and professionals on social media to really keep up with technology and be aware of what's going on because a lot of businesses are online. There's a lot of online
Yeah.
issues and my clients don't really want to go to a lawyer who doesn't know the difference between TikTok and Twitter when there are
Right.
issues with TikTok shop. They really don't want to ask stupid questions to their lawyer. They want their lawyer to already be competent in
Right.
that. And if you're not aware and up to date with technology, you're really lacking in that.
How are you seeing your business being shifted through AI and all the AI integrations with social and websites and people's operations? And is there vulnerabilities there? Are there things to look out for? Or, or is it more of, no, go for it. It helps scale your business. Like, what's
It
your
helps scale your
thoughts?
business for sure. It definitely is a great tool. There are security issues. There are security issues with a lot of technology out there, including social media, including ChatGPT. So that is something to really be careful of. It really depends on your industry. If you are a food blogger and you're using ChatGPT to help you write some captions, you're not really at risk of anything.
Right.
However, if you're an attorney, we're not putting client information in ChatGPT, especially not the free versions, because you really have no control over that. You have privacy considerations.
Right.
You have accuracy considerations. So depending on how high risk your business is, you need to use common sense when it comes to using AI, unless it's been vetted. But we've been using, in my field, I've been using AI since the day I started working as an attorney, 5, 6, 7, however long it's been. I can't even count pre-COVID.
I know.
So,
I like skip the 2 or 3 years. It's just I can't even
I know,
gauge.
right? So since back in like the mid 2010s, whenever I started as a lawyer, we've been using AI, the software, to implement, AI searches with searching different patent and trademark systems.
Oh,
That's,
yeah.
that's been there, for a while.
Okay.
And now I think what will happen is AI in the legal field and in lots of service-based businesses, it's going to shift to not just providing us information, but putting together the whole thing. Right now, sure, AI can give me some information about what trademarks are out there, what patents are, that kind of thing. But can it put together a comprehensive plan? Can it put together a comprehensive application?
Right.
Not yet, but I don't think that's that far in the future. And as it continues to get refined, I think it will be a really good asset. It will also give options for people who don't want to use lawyers or specific service providers. It'll give them that option too. There's always going to be the people who, they just want it done right. They, they need their business to work. They're just going to have a lawyer do it. But I think lawyers will also, the lawyers who start using AI and really becoming very well versed in it will succeed over the lawyers that are, trying to charge 10 hours for a 5-minute task.
Right. Or like it helps them scale because of volume, just pure
Helps them
cranking
scale.
out
Yeah,
the
exactly.
volume of it. So what do you think has been your greatest aha moment? No, I already asked that. What has been your greatest oh shit moment? Like not just necessarily for like a client, but yours, like where you're just like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, I would again go back to like I think it was when I realized, so there have been points in my business where I think I've hired on too many people at once and had to train too many people at once, and that has been
The
my
onboarding.
biggest
Whew.
onboarding. Like it is not possible to onboard for me. It's not possible to onboard 5 people at once. It's just not. I'm very particular. I'm very controlling. I have a very certain way of doing things. I need to like do everything step by step with them, one at a time. So that was my biggest mistake, and I think I lost like at least 5 to 10 days of work just trying to run after all these people, and I was so scattered.
Did you? So let me ask you that, because I felt the same way. I've realized that there's a difference between onboarding and orientation of people, but it takes a lot time to like onboard the team correctly. And when you don't, like when you think, okay, I'm spread too thin, or I can skip these couple steps, I've recognized that those little things is what ended up in the long term of like we could have uncovered a wrong fit earlier on, or we could have managed better expectations earlier. I don't know if you've had any issues with talent retention of team,
Yeah.
and had to change your onboarding because of it.
Oh yeah. I'm early to hire, early to fire type of thing. So I think, or not fire, but let go. I think
we'll say exit kindly.
Exit kindly. Yeah, I do like probation period. So it's basically, the way I hire is I typically will give a task, like a smaller task, and I'll do a project-based task, and I'll see, how they do. And if they do that sufficiently, I start to onboard them with actual projects and start ramping it up. But I don't really have a specific, I'm still a very small business, so I don't have, departments of where sectors of people are doing specific things. And a lot of entrepreneurs are probably needing their team to be more versatile than that as well. So the way I've done it and I've found it works pretty good is basically starting to onboard people onto a project and then giving them more and more tasks within that project and training them in that way. Because in a project, there are going to be, maybe 30 tasks that have to be, if I'm trying to file a copyright, there's 30 tasks total. So if I can teach them how to do like 1 through 5, and then they do that first one, and then, someone else does 6 through 30, and then the next time they can do 1 through 10, and, training them that way. That's been, the best way I've found that I can get people understanding things. And then once you train, your core team, they can train others.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the good part.
So what keeps you up at night? Where's your
What keeps
stress?
me up at
Yeah.
night?
Do you struggle with any kind of stressors or things that you worry about your business or the industry?
Yeah, I definitely struggle with, for me, I would say, which is crazy because people wouldn't think this, but I think, I'm very, very comfortable with what I do. I'm really good at what I do. I've been doing it since the day I started as a lawyer. I studied IP law in law school. I worked at the USPTO. I'm very well versed in what I do. I'm very confident in that. I'm like the only law firm that I know of, and I'm sure I'm the only law firm that offers, 100% money back guaranteed patent, trademark, copyright services. So, we have 100% success rate. We, get good results. I'm confident in my work. What keeps me up at night is the marketing side of things. So, operations is an ongoing business venture.
Always.
I feel like in every business, always.
Yes. It's a work in progress. Always.
It's always a work in progress. Yeah, and mentally, like, I can handle that. But I think marketing has just been difficult. It's difficult to find time. I'm very picky with my marketing. I've struggled with, marketing vendors that I've had, different, video editors I've had, things like that. So I think marketing is definitely what keeps me up. And then if I'm not marketing, and then I'm wondering how much, am I losing right now? How much time, and then
the pipeline
the pipeline. And then it's, there's my marketing is getting me a lot of other benefits besides just client work. I'm getting invited to a lot of spaces I probably don't deserve to be in because I just have grown on social media. And so it's just balancing all of that and balancing, having to deal with reading comments about yourself. And so marketing is really what keeps me up as a business owner. And that's something I think that has shifted this year. It used to be, I think operations kept me up. Work never kept me up. Like my client work never kept me up. I was always like, I'm definitely a lawyer first, businesswoman first, in terms of I can understand people's business and I can get them good results in that sense. That's where my talent lies. But I, have to run a business. I have to deal with operations, and then I have to deal with, marketing that business, and not just marketing that business, but marketing myself and then my other business, so
you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you're putting yourself
out there. Yeah. And it's scary, and it's stressful, and that's
and then anytime when I started my firm, I wasn't paying anything for marketing. I'm just throwing up TikTok videos. It's not complicated. Anytime I've tried to elevate, my content or do anything, I've really gotten just really burned. Every vendor I've worked with, every editor, everything I've done, with marketing has been, a crazy struggle, which is just, I don't know why that is. I found a lot of business owners struggle with that as well. Every agency I've worked with, every videographer, every editor, nothing has ever worked out for me. So it's very interesting.
I can tell you from coming from 30 years in marketing and agencies and working with big brands, I can tell you there's a lot of maybe great videographers, maybe great editors, maybe great copywriters. But it's something, I think I wrote this on LinkedIn, I don't know, last month or so, I can't remember. But it's this, we're seeing a trend at the agency level, especially with smaller businesses and micro businesses, is the dismissal of a good creative brief and just sitting down on paper and putting your thoughts on paper and having somebody with brand expertise or storytelling expertise that really pushes at it and land on something that can go, this matches the vision, this matches the value proposition, this is serving the communications objective that we all agree on, and this is who we're targeting and who our voice is geared towards. I think a lot of it is just because we work with a lot of small business, and people are like, let's just skip that. Just give me the video. And we struggle as an agency getting business to go, I get it. We'll get there. Just takes a little bit of brain sweat. But like once people sit down and see that end result and go, because that little bit of like, I call it the heavy brain lifting. It's a little bit painful to have to be forced to think through things,
I
putting it
know.
on paper. I mean, it really is because a lot of like we're founder entrepreneur, we want to run business owners. If you're a CEO or you're really a CMO of a company that we work with, and you've got 200 employees or 5,000 employees, and they're like, I got to put this video out. I'm like, let's take the time. Hold on, because it will save time later. And now you can go not just do one video, now you can create a whole series of things, but it's all
Yes.
based on that one kind of, I'll call it the value prop of the concept. But I think it's because we've seen, like I said, this like dismissal of creative briefs. And quite honestly, because we've been so, marketing is so fragmented, and and we've seen over the last, I want to say 5 to 10 years, this trend of people coming out of school, people going, because look, when I grew up, it was like if you wanted to be really good at marketing, the really only path you took was you needed to go work for an agency. Like you needed to go work for a brand company, a brand agency, and that's where you got your chops. That's where you got your disciplines. That's where were taught. And I came from the media side, so we were taught all the terms and the little technology there was at the time, but all the trends and how to read data and how to read analytics and but working with the creative team to go, what information do they need to do their job right? And working with like strategic planners and account, you see all that in an agency. But the last, I would say 8 years, 8 years, there's been this trend of I can just go straight from school and not have to go work in an agency. I don't need those disciplines. I can figure it out myself. And the bigger, so what happens is they work with somebody like you, are like, that's not quite hitting it. Or it's just, I can't tell why it's off, but it's off. I'm disappointed, but you can't really articulate it. And so it just comes across as, well, maybe it's subjective. So, trying to put that tangibility, but I think that's what's like, I got jumped on a bandwagon of, have we lost the art of good creative briefs? Was because that's where we see it.
Needing a deep understanding of the business. I think it's in a lot of service provider industries. Like I think there's so many lawyers that lack an understanding of the business and they don't understand their business objectives.
That's right.
So it's asking
kind of
the
right questions. Yeah.
Asking the right question, just understanding the goals. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot and then knowing how to interpret that to go, this is, and pushing on it. And really, we call it if you like to cook, right? So marketing and branding and message and storytelling is a lot like cooking, right? It's layers, but you got to sometimes let that sauce kind of cook to get to that roux and that true essence. But a lot of it is you got to have the experience to know the questions to ask, how to interpret it, how to push, so that those concepts that come out are what's magic. It's it's the tasty sauce, right? It's the umami flavor of the messaging. But that's just a little self-diagnosis of, I think that's what's probably and it's hard for you to articulate. And it's like, I'm unhappy, but I don't know. I just don't like the results and why it's keeps churning.
It's definitely, people also in marketing now, it's way different. Like you said, people are going into school, they go and they'll have some success on like
Right.
Twitter or TikTok or whatnot, and then they'll start an agency from that.
Right.
And they think that that's, going to work for everyone. And, it really never does. So
No.
that's, you really do need to have like foundational understanding of marketing and branding
Right.
and things. And some people have an inherent knack for it. I have some sort of inherent knack for it, but, I don't have the time to dedicate to doing all of that. Expect, to going so deeply on every different
Right.
platform that I want to go in, right? Like I have a
Yeah.
massive email list and I just haven't been
You
able to, get it together. So if you have
you
a
gotta
business, your business is really focused on that.
right, right, yeah. So as you deal with stress, like, what do you do in your free time? When
So
when
I
you're not Anna Laurieing and making, social media content, what are you doing?
Yeah, I really like, I think, all the normal things. I, really like to go out to eat, drink, gym, beach, all the normal things people have. I really like just to hang out with my friends and family and, have a lot of downtime whenever I can because, I'm very, very busy and I really like to network as well. I
Uh,
found that networking has been a new thing for me. I never really networked at all until this year, and I found I really enjoy it. Like I like going out and meeting people. I like hearing their stories and
yeah,
giving without expecting things in return is really important for business owners who are serving the community to do. And I'm glad I have like a hobby of just going networking events and things to do
yeah.
that.
So are you, because 'cause you're up in New York, right? Or is that
I'm like New York and Miami.
you're no okay, so you
Yeah.
toggle between the
I'm in
2?
I'm in Miami right now.
Oh, that's so nice. Jealous. I was like, "Is she on the top of a" I c
No,
could
I'm
see,
I'm
but you've got oceanfront. That is very nice.
yeah, it's
Um,
really nice.
so
I'm
when
just
you
wearing all black, so it looks like New York, but
that's right. So when you do network, is it you're working with, more in the lawyer, legal industry networking? Or are you trying to really get engaged with, more of the founder community and or social? Like what are you organizations and stuff that you're trying to get involved in?
yeah, I it's definitely a mix. I do go to a lot of lawyer networking events, and that's not really business building. That's more, I guess, for camaraderie. I
Yeah.
think that's why we do them. But there are a lot of lawyer events, and they, have great speakers. It's great to network with people, though it doesn't really do anything for your business, so to
Right,
speak.
right.
So yeah, I do go to a lot of founder events. I go to a lot of my clients' events. So my clients are
Oh,
business
yeah.
owners. They have a lot of events, and then also just I'm trying to also build like my speaking career. I want to become a better public speaker and I, want to spread my message, not just on, Instagram.
Right,
So I've
right.
been trying to do more of that, especially this year. And definitely I'll do a lot more of that in 2024. My ultimate goal though is actually, politics. So I'm now trying to network more in that world.
Okay. So trying to get involved at the local level or like going for more state level
Yeah,
politics?
more state, national level. Like I'm very interested in foreign policy issues just because of my background in IP.
Yeah.
We're very involved with foreign policy in terms of what we see our clients encounter, all the IP theft issues with China and things like that.
Mm,
So I'm very that's definitely a huge passion of mine too, is just business issues on a national and global scale. And I'm so pro business. I'm an immigrant myself,
mm,
and my parents are immigrants. They are doctors, but they started their own business, have multiple businesses. My cousin, all my entire family is business owners. I've been in that world since I was
right.
a baby, and I'm very, very pro business. So I just naturally maybe fell into caring a lot about how those issues affect the community
Yeah,
on a
absolutely.
local and bigger level.
That's right. We need all the voices at the small business level that we can get.
We do,
It's
and more
scary.
women.
And more
Yeah.
women, exactly. Yeah, I've just, in the last few years, I've recognized that, the importance of networking. So I'm involved in like the We Bank, it's Women's Business Enterprise Council and my certifications through there and, been involved in, like the National Small Business Association and just, working with 10,000 small business because I'm a alumni with there. And, you know, I thought it's like, you think, oh, these issues I have at the local level. And then when you start seeing stuff at the state or federal level, and you're like, okay, so I'm not alone in these issues or these, these feelings, and I'm seeing the gaps. And then you see that, you just see it in,
Yeah.
just widespread. It is, we need stronger voices. Definitely.
No, we do for sure. I mean, there's
Like,
so many issues, just in my own field, like just in IP that affect small business owners. I
yeah,
mean, there's things that I've personally been affected by, that like I've been targeted by China to file,
yeah,
they target lawyers to file illegitimate trademarks in mass. China has filed illegitimate trademarks in mass at the USPTO, which is why it's now taking over a year, to get a trademark. And that harms American business owners because they want to know if a name is getting registered or not so they can go buy
right.
inventory, right? So they're being harmed in return and the government's not doing anything, absolutely nothing. So, it's all of those type of issues that are very, very prevalent in even the average small business
Oh, yeah.
that, you see on the national level. And I really feel that the way to fix that is to have a voice,
That's
for
right.
the small business owner or
That's
medium
right.
business owner,
It's no, and that same thing of like the little stats you hear on, especially female founders, and the out of 100% of all the venture capital and investment, angel investing, everything under the VC investment, category of funding across the country, less than 2% go to female founders.
Yeah, it's just
Like
absolutely
that
wild.
is
Yeah.
crazy. And out of
And
the
female founders and female CEOs have better results
That's right,
and
we
better
do.
rates of return than men. Yeah.
That's right. We're known to be, yes, we're risk, probably, uh, risk averse, but our companies are more stable and they're usually value better. So yeah, we need we need the voices, all the voices.
My client base is almost entirely male. It's like 99% male. So I need more female clients. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not solving female issues if I'm not getting female clients. I want
That's right. All
more
right,
female
female
business owners
founders,
to own their, yeah.
you know where to go. All right. So my last question for you, actually maybe, nah, this might be the last question. We'll see how this goes. So, what would our listeners be surprised to learn about you that we haven't talked or that's not on your LinkedIn profile?
Hmm. That's not on my LinkedIn profile. I don't know
Like,
there's too much in there.
yeah,
Um, let me think. Um, like specifically about IP or just about me?
just you. Yeah. No,
Oh,
you
okay.
personally.
Um, oh, that's a really hard question. I'm trying to think. I kind of said like my story about how I'm an immigrant and like so pro business and things, but it's really a lot deeper for me too because I just feel, I've in the past been in home life situations
Mm,
in my personal life where I was, not safe situations. And I think women, and I'm very a strong advocate for women in particular, to really take control of their life financially. And I do believe that starting a business, launching a brand,
That's
or,
right.
monetizing IP is the easiest way to do so right now because
That's
it's
right.
kind of,
It's
you
yours.
create once, monetize forever. Yeah, it's yours. And if you protect it, you do things right, you're going to be good on that. So that is kind of where it comes from. I just think women need to be taking more control of their life. I'm saying this as I have like no female clients, but that's
Mm,
why I create content and why I want to connect with people because
right.
I think knowledge is power and just knowing is better than not knowing, and having your options open is great. And that is just, a really strong principle that I think I see more,
Yeah.
millennial women getting into and things. So that makes me really happy.
That's great. So, okay, so what are the biggest piece of advice if let's say two pieces of advice that you would give to other founders, listeners out there, um, that either you've struggled with or you've seen others struggle with? Like, what would you tell them?
I would say the first piece of advice is to really have a strong plan on how you are going to make money.
Okay.
So I see a lot of people these days, like we talked about, the barrier of entry to start a business is lower. However, you really need to understand that the point of being in business is to make money. So if you are not able to come up with a plan of at the start, before you start, like dollar for dollar, how you'll
Right.
actually be profitable, you don't have a business, you have a really expensive hobby. And you need to figure, like, there's, if you have a goal of revenue, you need to backwards calculate that. This is
Yeah.
like what you should do before you start, before you buy any inventory, before you hire a lawyer, anyone, think about what your business
Make a
is, and is
budget.
that, make a budget, make a
Make a
financial plan, make
budget.
a plan, a
Right.
business plan.
A business plan.
So
And
business
if you
plan.
if you don't know how to do that, almost every market, I mean, every, region, city, wherever you are, I guarantee that you have some incubator or an accelerator. Check your universities, your tech schools, whatever. Go to that. A lot of times they're free. Like, and
Yeah.
even if you just have a Post-it note, like we tell people, just go in with your Post-it note to go, help me think, like, this is my idea. Is there a there? Like,
Yeah.
help me figure this out. Help me write a plan. There's so many free resources that
Yeah,
like
there's so many free
yeah,
resources, and like just keeping on the forefront that your business needs to make money. If your business is not going to be able to make money, you need to go back and figure out how that business can make money, or don't start it,
right.
because you're going to have a really bad outcome then. If you just start a business randomly and
And
expect one day you'll make money, that's why businesses fail, because they
that's
can't
right.
make money.
That's right.
So, thinking about that, people are like, oh, I can't be such a greedy capitalist. I mean, you have to, like,
You
you have
have
to
to.
understand you have to
You're
make money.
also
So
you're putting money in. We always say whatever dollar you invest or you spend on your company, whether it's in, you know, operational, IT, legal, you know, staff, it needs to return in
time,
cousins.
your time.
Like for every dollar you spend needs to return in dollars. At least
Yes.
3. At least bring
Yes.
back 3 cousins.
Yes. Yes. And you're investing your time, your effort, your mental
Yeah.
health. So you have to make money. And then, the biggest tip I guess I'll give is, do things right legally. So, have your contracts. There's so many businesses that operate, without contracts, and then, like, you want to
Wow.
get paid, don't you?
Right.
Have your IP done, go to a lawyer, get an audit, have them prioritize what you need to protect, budget for it, get it done, because you do not, when you're a small business, you have smaller pockets of, you have smaller cushion to absorb mistakes. So if you're Apple and you lose a trademark, portfolio that you really wanted to launch a new product
Yeah.
with, it's not that big of a deal. They can rebrand, maybe they'll take a hit, but they're not going to get wiped out. If you're
Right.
a small business and you've just launched with a name that somebody else already has, and you've invested, all of this money into your website, inventory, graphics, all of this, and you're out 10K. Why? For
Or
what?
more.
You could,
Or
or
way
more, or
more.
way
Yeah.
more, or way more. And if you're running ads, all that's gone.
Right.
So, you want to just do things right legally the first time, have your contracts, don't get sued by the ADA because your website was not ADA, American Disability Act compliant, like all of this
Right.
little stuff, they're really quick fixes, but if
Right.
you don't do it, it's devastating.
Yeah.
If you get caught up into like an ADA lawsuit, my cousin, he has a handbag company, and he was sued by somebody, and she said she couldn't access his website to buy bags, and he didn't even qualify for the requirement because he had a smaller business than the levels limited, but he settled, for like 10K.
Right.
So you're going to be exploited if you don't have your legal done properly. You don't want to build a house on land you don't own.
Right.
You want to just kind of be on
Oh,
secure
that's a good.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a good
it's
analogy.
kind doing the legal at the beginning, it's not very expensive. It's very expensive when you have to deal with your mistakes. Had he just had a good policy on his website, it's a couple $100 from a lawyer
Right.
even. So, it's not as expensive as you think either to do things right, the right way. I don't have
Right.
any incentive to say this either, because I'll make a lot more money if you guys make mistakes and come to me.
That's
But,
right.
for a business owner, really just think about what you're doing in your business. Take it seriously from the start. As soon as you realize that if you decide that, hey, this is a business and I want to make it viable, just take it
Yeah.
seriously.
Oh, that's
Don't
great.
give yourself the option to slack on that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Okay, so this is the last question. This is a fun one. What 3 things are you either watching, reading, or listening to? So are you into what TV show or podcast or books are you into right now?
Okay, this is a fun question. So, okay, last movie I watched, even though I'm not a TV person or movie person, but I did watch the Taylor Swift movie. I think she has a lot of lessons that people can learn from. What I like her music, and I'm a Swiftie because I think I'm in her demographic. But even if you don't like Taylor Swift, you have to think about what she's done and
Oh,
what
yeah.
phenomenon she became, and look at her business, the team
Her
she has around
brand
her.
and how yeah.
And her brand, yeah, and, it's very, very, very interesting if you get into it. You have this person who is, like, a very tall, thin, model-like person, and she has been able to successfully portray herself as, like, the girl next door. I mean, it's a marketing world class
Right, right,
masterclass, because what she's done is she's, like, created this persona and this brand that fits with her talent, and she's been able to monetize it. Now she's a billionaire. So, that's what happened when women own their IP.
that's
So
right. Well, and then what she did around her music IP was amazing, and that
yeah,
was because the story behind that and, what is it?
with Scooter Braun,
Scooter,
yeah.
basically, locked her out of her own music, and
Yep,
I think it was Kelly Clarkson that said just tweeted at her and said, "You need to go back in the studio and re-record it. Just change it up a
mhm.
little bit, rebrand it, and now and then encourage everybody to just buy that."
Yeah,
And
well,
that
she still owns the rights to the original
ori
song, the songwriter rights, at least, not the masters, but
right.
she can stop other radio companies and things from listening to the old versions.
That's what I mean,
So,
and so she went in and
yeah,
re-recorded everything and just slightly just changed the master the
mhm.
music, and that's where a lot of she took control back of what was
Yeah.
something that what she felt scammed her, right?
Right, and she's very talented. Lots of artists are talented. They can always create more music, but I think it's very interesting to see that she chose to do that because she found, not really that's not really very common. It's not really been done
Right,
before. So it's interesting to see how, you can take certain situations and be really creative and then profit off of them,
right.
even if, you lost out at first. So very interesting how she did it. Very interesting to think about her longevity. I don't know if that's the right word, but how long she's been around.
Yeah,
Pretty rare.
since she was a
So
teenager. I mean,
she was a very young teenager. So lots of lessons to learn from her. And the movie was also really fun.
that's a
So
good
that
one.
was like the last movie I read. And then what am I reading? I'm reading the 48 Laws of Power right now. I like reread it once a year, like around the end
Yeah,
of the year. I think it's a great thing for women business owners to read. Like it really can put a lot of things into perspective. And I found that the 48 Laws of Power, like they've really helped me deal with my vendors
hmm,
in particular. So, as a business
okay.
owner, you're really constantly pitched by all of these people
Oh, all the
that
time. Yeah.
always like go in your LinkedIn messages. You're gonna
Like,
have
oh
like
my god.
50 people, in selling you their software and whatever it is
Right.
that they are giving you. So, being able to take control of the perception and, of your time is good. And that book really helps me like put things into check sometimes. So I like that book somehow. Somehow it kind of related to that.
That's
Then
a
what's
great
like
one.
the other one?
Oh, I was like, and then are you listening to any other podcasts other than Hello Chaos? I know that's on the top of your no. Are you a podcast listener?
I love the business and marketing podcast
Okay.
always, of course. That's one of my favorite genres. I listen to what was the podcast? Now I can't remember the name of it. I think it was called it's something. Do you know Tori? She's that first 100K book writer. She's some financial influencer. So I've been listening to her podcast. I don't really
Oh,
listen to finance podcasts, but hers is very interesting. It's all
I'll have
about
to look her
how,
up. Yeah.
yeah, I think just look up like her first 100K. I think
Okay.
it's something like that. So it's really cool to hear her story. Another female podcaster, and she teaches women about like financial literacy and
Hmm.
more on like the saving and
Yeah.
that type of thing. But, I'm more of a, hey, start a business. Like you need to start a business, but she, has some great stuff in there too.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're out of time. I know we're ran a little longer than but I love it. I love the conversation. I always amazed at how fast these things go. I look up and I'm
I
like, oh my
know.
God, we got to wrap it up. But thank you for hanging out with us today
Thank
and
you for having
chatting.
me.
So where do you want people to connect with you, contact you? How do you want to
Yeah.
promote your
Um,
stuff?
I am, I'm all over like every social media platform, just at Ana Juneja is my handles on IG, TikTok, LinkedIn. And in all my socials, I have a link in my bio. It's anajuneja.com. And you can contact me. You can actually book a free call with an attorney right there. And you can also like send us a message as well if you have any other like specific question that you don't need a call for. So
Nice.
I'm very easily accessible. I also like answer all my DMs and things like that too, on
Very,
Instagram at least.
very good. And just for our listeners out there, it's Ana, ANA, and it's Juneja, Juneja. So June Ja. Is that
Exactly.
all
Yes.
right? So everyone connect with her. Connect. Um, and for everyone out there, thanks for listening and watching us. Thank you for joining. This podcast episode will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. My favorite, I'm an Apple podcast person, so that's where I go to get mine. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share so we can build and grow a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. Again, that's Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. We are a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free. We are underwritten by our sponsors and in the digital edition and looking for sponsors for our Hello Chaos podcast. But we are a one-stop content hub just for founders, delivered also in a weekly email every Sunday. Get you prepared for the week. And it's just an email to subscribe. So come on, subscribe to us. We are currently in 3 markets, and that is in South Carolina, the Greenville, the Columbia, and Charleston markets, with our goals to expand to be in 30 cities in 5 years. Check out the latest edition. I think we just dropped that last week. In the 3 markets, and it is on talent recruitment and retention and how do you build your workforce. So great for stories, founder stories from across the state and stunning photography. Go subscribe and support us. Find your city and enjoy. And if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please send us an email to hello@orangewhip.com. And that's again, orange, WIP.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos, and we will see you again next week. It's where aha meets oh shit. I'm JJ Jennifer Sutton. I'll see you again. Dun, da, da, da. Thank you.